To resign. He released a letter claiming the Pope knew 5 years ago about alleged sex abuse by an American cardinal and did nothing. Seth Doane is at the Vatican tonight.
The explosive 11-page letter likens the Catholic Church to a mafia and suggests a conspiracy of silence that extends all the way to the top. It was penned by Italian Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, once the Vatican's top official in the U.S. He claims that in 2013, he personally told Pope Francis about sex abuse allegations involving then-Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, but the pontiff ignored it, allowing the prominent cardinal to serve the church for another 5 years until he resigned amid a sex abuse scandal this summer.
Io non dirò una parola su questo.
I will not say a single word on this, the pontiff said, when asked by CBS News about the letter on Sunday's papal flight. Monsignor Anthony Figueiredo called Vigano's letter an earthquake for the church.
Let us be clear. If the Holy Father knew about Cardinal McCarrick on the 23rd of June 2013, as Archbishop Vigano claims, and did nothing about it, then it's serious, as the Pope himself has said.
Pope Francis has called for zero tolerance for church leaders who cover up sex abusers in the ranks. Sean Doherty says he was abused by a pedophile priest in Pennsylvania. He says Vigano's letter only further erodes trust.
It is obvious to us that the church is incapable of handling this mess. Look where we are now today. It's like reality TV right here in real time.
High-profile cardinals and church leaders are slamming Vigano's letter as untrue. A colleague of Vigano's from his days at the U.S. Embassy has reportedly said his statement is true. And now, Nora, at least 2 U.S. bishops have called for a wider investigation.
All right, first and foremost, Salakia. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who I learned from. A healthy shalom to those for elect preaching his word in truth, sincerity. To you ribs, to you sisters out there learning in silence and stay in order. I say to you all, shalom. Now I know this video here is a little old, but you know, we're going to talk about this topic because it came back up as of recently since the death of this Pope, right? This false witness, right? You know, covering up the church's lies, man. But it's no different from them covering themselves up than from this government covering their lies up, right? Because Esau likes to cover up his sins, and you know, even with Cain, when we look at Cain and Abel, right? Because Esau got the spirit of Cain. You know, when the angel of the Lord asked him, "Hey, you know where's your brother?" He said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" He tried to like hide it, what he did, as if, you know, the eyes of the Lord are not, you know, 10 times brighter than the sun, right? But now that this man died, right, and a lot of these priests were out there, right? They had a bunch of cases against the church and stuff like that, and a lot of them got away with it, right? Now that he's dead, right, as in Maccabees, the 1st chapter, you know, when Alexander the Great died, evils were multiplied, right? So now that, you know, they don't have a head right now, you know, the body's running wild right now. There's probably a whole bunch of things going on, you know, in that region that, you know, there's no accountability. That's what I'm saying.
Seth Doane.
This is from the People's Voice. It says the People's Pope, quote unquote, shielded actual editors and edophiles within the clergy. It has been revealed how Pope Francis, the so-called People's Pope, shielded actual editors in the clergy, including one priest who was accused of violently aping nuns. According to a Vatican spokesman, when the world's cardinals met in Rome last week for the first of the crucial pre-conclave discussion, they raised the issue of clerical abuse. This included the sexual abuse of children. The cardinals are, however, forbidden to reveal anything that was said. Right, so they shrouded in secrecy. Right, no different than the Masons. Right, they just glorified Masons with a mask, so to speak. So I said, but behind closed doors, the preparation for the conclave, which starts on Wednesday, are already mired in scandal. Let me just skim through this, Salakia. For the common denominator of these scandals, whose victims included 20 Slavian nuns who claimed to have been aped, Argentinian seminarians grotesquely assaulted by their bishop, and a Belgian teenager subjected to same bloodline relations, assault by his uncle. A bishop is the Francis went to bizarre lengths either to conceal or excuse these crimes. Right, that's what they do, man. They cover up for each other. Right, if this didn't make the news, then he wouldn't have to take action. Right, put up this front. Right, but this is Esau, man. Esau was, scriptures talk about how the wicked are estranged from the womb. Right, they are born speaking lies. Right, they're just perverse in all manner of ways. Right, the Lord said in Ecclesiastes, "Who can make that straight which the Lord have made crooked?" And they are inherently crooked. This is Hebrews chapter 12 and 16. I'm going to get it in different translations, right? Just to get a better look. It says, right in the King James Version first, "Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who's for one morsel of meat sold his birthright," right? When we read it in the ESV, it says that no one is sexually immoral or unholy like Esau, who sold his birthright for a single meal. Right? That's who we're dealing with. This nasty and perverse man. Right? And that's the reason why, in Job, chapter 30, and start at verse 1. "But now that they are younger, that I have me in derision, whose fathers I will not have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock." Right, let's get that in a translation. Comparison. It says the New King James Version, "But now they mock at me, men younger than I, whose fathers I disdain to put with the dogs of my flock." This is the CSB version. "But now they mock me, men younger than I, whose fathers I would have refused to put with my sheepdogs. Right? That's how perverse and wicked these persons were. You couldn't even trust them around your dogs. Right? Verse 3. For want and famine, right? These Edomites, back in the days, they were solitary, right? They were outcasted, just like Cain would have felt in those days. It says, fleeing into the wilderness in former times, desolate and waste, right? They were in a really low state. And they are the basis of men to this day, right? Jumping down to verse 5. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys. They got pushed to the valleys and the clefts of the rocks, right? In caves of the earth and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. So they were pushed out, man, from society, because that's how just disdain and nasty people they was, man. The Lord used these people to show his power, right? That he can make even the worst of people powerful throughout the earth, right? And these people now hold powerful positions like the papacy and things of that nature. And people look after them, right? But they cannot wash away their spirit or their bad deeds, right? Their natural nature, man. They just can't. You could put a tuxedo on a piece of shit, and it'll still be a piece of shit, right? But anyways, that's pretty much on it, man. You already know. These people are wicked and they need to be exposed. I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS where I learned from. Shalom to those for elect, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. To your ribs, to your sisters out there learning silence, staying in order. I say to you all, Shalom.